This is the Three Things with your host, Gene Church. Tonight's topic, the first presidential debate this evening at Case Western University in the Cleveland Clinic in Cleveland, Ohio, or how to overcome sundowners and have an effective debate. In all seriousness, I believe that this will be a good debate this evening. Here's what we're looking at. President Trump has had more experience than any other modern president in talking to the press. He does it almost every day, and it isn't always a pretty sight. The media despises Trump, apparently worse than they ever hated Richard Nixon. President Trump has tremendous experience at being asked hard-hitting questions, and it will likely help him tremendously with his debate preparation. Conversely, and in all sincerity, Joe Biden has shown signs of senility and frailty. His exposure to the public has been highly limited for weeks. He has stayed hidden out in his basement and hasn't allowed anyone from the press, except his hand-picked few, to be able to question him. The questions have been softball questions. How bad do you think President Trump is? Rather than any that address weaknesses on his policy. But with this, in some debates and in public events, he has looked weak and frail and seemed to be struggling to speak clearly. And in others, he has looked stronger and, while not at the level he was 4 years ago or earlier, has sounded minimally acceptable. How is this possible? I referenced a concept known as sundowner syndrome or sundowning. It involves a pattern of sadness, agitation, fear, delusions, or hallucinations that occur in dementia patients in the late afternoon, evening, or at night. This increased confusion around twilight can be distressing. Joe Biden is dealing with senility. I believe that he can appear to be fine at certain times of the day, but be disoriented at others. How do you address this if you're operating his campaign? You take days off to get him maximum rest and even change his sleep schedule so that an evening event doesn't appear to be evening to you. If you get up at 3 or 4 in the afternoon, 9 p.m. doesn't seem so late. You plan with more activities during the day. A person who rests most of the day is likely to be more awake at night. Discourage excessive napping, especially later in the day, and plan activities such as walks, crafts, and visits to keep Sleepy Joe awake and engaged. In the month of September, in the 29 days we've had, he has taken 11 days off before noon. 2 days ago and once last week, he set a lid or ended the day by 9:30 in the morning. You consider using bright light therapy to reset Joe's circadian rhythm. Studies have shown that the use of full spectrum light boxes have positive effects on the sleep-wake cycle disorders, minimize agitation and confusion, and improve sleep quality. You bring the best physicians to assist you. You get prescriptions for drugs such as methylphenidate or Ritalin to help you mask the symptoms. And for times that you want your candidate to be seen, you rely upon much practice and teleprompters to help you out. You might even use a hidden earpiece to talk to him through his answers. Now, for a presidential debate in front of an international audience, some of these things can't be available. You certainly can't use a teleprompter. You could only use a hidden earpiece to talk to Joe if his answers if it wasn't being checked. Wait, he isn't going to be checked for a hidden earpiece? Oh well. You could give him medication as long as no one can drug test him. And you can have him rest through the day so that he's ready to debate in the evening. So it sounds like I don't think Joe Biden will do well. Then you'd be wrong. I expect this debate to be strong for Joe. Why? First of all, President Trump made the mistake of setting up such low expectations. If Joe Biden can catch his own slobber and say, "I'm Joe Biden and I approve of this message" several times, he will have exceeded the expectations of many of the people out there. But I expect Joe to be well rested. I expect him to have memorized lines to rely upon. I do not expect him to be excellent at details, but I expect him to be highly competitive just by being confrontational toward President Trump. Trump's prospects for success will require forcing Biden to have to answer detailed questions about policy provisions and positions that he doesn't want to answer. For example, neither Biden nor Harris will answer whether they'll support expanding the Supreme Court, what was referred to as court packing, if Biden is elected. They will not say whether they'll favor abolishing the Electoral College, and they don't want to talk about ending the filibuster in the Senate. Joe Biden is critical of Trump appointing Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court, but has refused to state who he would select. Why? Well, he's committed to selecting a black woman, and the federal bench has two that are qualified. Both are over the age of 65, however. The third option would be his vice presidential candidate, Kamala Harris. But the primary reason is that he would anger either the left by choosing a moderate, or the moderates by the choice of a flaming radical. And that is ultimately the problem behind all of Biden's campaign. Biden will do whatever Trump is doing, but he plans to do it even better. Just don't ask him how. Fox News' Chris Wallace will moderate the debate. He is bright and he is tough. He is also a liberal. President Trump has been willing to go before him recently to be interviewed. Biden has refused. He's already laid out the topics for the evening approved by the Presidential Debates Commission. They include the Supreme Court battle, the coronavirus pandemic, the economy, unrest in the cities, the Biden and Trump records, and the integrity of the election. However, the topics, according to the commission, are subject to change because of news developments. There will be 6 15-minute-long segments, each dedicated to a particular topic. It will be interesting to see whether the allegations of the Senate committee this week about the Biden family and corruption will make it into this conversation, and the slimy in-the-tank media have all but ignored the Senate findings. Despite Chris Wallace's liberal bias, I believe it is possible he will play this evening even-handed. If he does, the next 2 hours will be as exciting for the American people as you can imagine. If he does not, then we can expect the same old treatment typical from the press. Today, 80% of the public believe that the press is biased. Let's hope that Chris Wallace does as he wants to do and be so little a part of the debates that no one remembers who moderated them. Join the Three Things Presidential Watch Party immediately after this, entitled TTT Prez Watch Party, on my personal Facebook page. For the Three Things, I'm Gene Church.